Rap is a genre with countless subsects, all working together like roots of a tree. Some wither while others thrive. In Cloud Rap's case, it seemed to wither over time. While it was once thriving commercially in the early 2010s, it seemed like it took a nosedive ever since major industry players like A$AP Rocky, Young Lean, and Lil B have stepped out of the spotlight. However, just because the forefront of rap isn't seeing its influence right now, that doesn't mean that Cloud Rap isn't building its way back up for a comeback. Today, we're going to be looking at the rise, fall, and resurgence of the Cloud Rap subgenre and how it's shaping up to make a huge comeback with how the underground has begun to carry the torch. Much like the name suggests, Cloud Rap is a subsect of hip-hop that draws from the more mellow side of music, including genres like lo-fi, chillwave, and trap. Cultivating an ethereal and transcendent feel, this offshoot of rap feels at times as if it could exist outside of the metaphorical rap box. One of the most defining features of Cloud Rap is its production. Featuring heavy synths, bouncy drums, drowned out vocals, and melodic guitars, it's built to create an atmosphere in which the listener feels as if they're transcending. It literally feels like listening on a cloud. There isn't a clearly defined motive that formed Cloud Rap when compared to something like pure trap, a materialization of the streets itself. However, it was a fresh, unique sound that the genre hadn't heard before. One suggested motive, however, was when one of the greatest Cloud Rap pioneers, Lil B, once said, "That's the kind of music I want to make," when shown a picture of a castle floating in the clouds. Another motive was that the genre could be used as an outlet for emotion, thanks to its hazy characteristics that were perfect for letting go and expressing oneself. This is apparent with Young Lean, who was a Swedish 15-year-old that used the genre as an outlet for his feelings of anxiety, depression, and sadness. He has solidified himself as a legend within the space, thanks to his contributions that would aid in the founding of the emo rap genre, which has had even more mainstream integration than Cloud Rap itself. While a project like Warlord or Unknown Memory is of course Cloud Rap based, you can hear his signature sound through the likes of other huge late 2010s emo rap artists like XXXTentacion, Juice WRLD, and Trippie Redd. His influence is undeniable. A$AP Rocky is of course the most mainstream example of this genre, propelling this genre into the mainstream like a catapult in the early 2010s. His first full-length project, Live Love A$AP, featured heavy production from Clams Casino that almost felt like a love letter itself to Cloud Rap. However, what made it stand apart from previous records in the genre was the fact it was able to effortlessly climb the charts with the balance that Rocky struck between the advancements in trap at the time and the state that Cloud Rap was in. He would carry his momentum charged from LLA into Long Live A$AP, a project that leans more heavily into the trap sound. Though this worked more commercially, it unfortunately would begin to mark the start of the downfall of the mainstream appeal of the genre, which will be covered more in depth later. If there had to be two artists that really could be considered two titans in terms of pioneering the Cloud Rap genre, Lil B and Clams Casino are the two top contenders. With Lil B's first project arriving all the way back in 2009, he hit the ground running. The now iconic I'm God has been solidified as a staple within the genre, thanks to its ethereal sample and instrumental construction. Clams Casino, the mastermind behind the project and song, has also had an incredible impact on the genre with his creative vision, creating various hit songs and remixes including LVL and I'm God X Demons. Another very important figure within the space who often goes unnoticed for his immense contributions to the craft is Black Kray. The most prolific example of his talent arguably lies with Ice Cream and Mac 10s. It's a project laden with that signature spaced out dreamy synthpad sound, and flows that sound way ahead of their time. Pair it with the fact that it dropped 6 years prior to when Rocky dropped his first tape, and it's impossible to observe Kray and not acknowledge his intuition. Despite all of this, you might ask how Cloud Rap could ever fall off considering the immense amount of experimentation and talent that has risen over the past 2 decades surrounding this scene. Well, unfortunately, if something isn't always in the limelight, it's sure to fade after some time. This is a big part of the reason that Cloud Rap has seemed dormant or dead in the mainstream recently. If one of the genre's big hitters have been away for 7 years and haven't dropped a full cohesive body of work, talking to you Rocky, it makes sense why it seems absent from the mainstream, at least right now. However, that's not to say it's dead everywhere. Just like any other genre, Cloud Rap has had its ebbs and flows. While we're waiting on the mainstream revival of Cloud Rap, there's a lot going on in the underground that points to a resurgence. What's intriguing about what's going on right now is what underground artists are choosing to do with the essence of Cloud Rap. Instead of directly copying it and coming off like clones of the past, they've managed to blend a lot of what's working currently in the underground with crazy strident sounds, but toning it down just enough to keep the essence of Cloud Rap alive. Bringing the laid-back elements of Cloud Rap into the forefront, they're flipping it on itself and are actively pioneering it into its next phase. It's so exciting to see. As of recently, more and more underground artists are starting to pick this sound back up again. Take Untiljapan for example. His most popular song, Kiss and Tell, was actually produced by Clams Casino, so it's no coincidence that he's seen a ton of success with that. It further proves that there's definitely a demand for cloud rap nowadays. The project that Kiss and Tell is on, Safe Travels, also has a lot of cloud rap influence within it. Though it's not as overtly apparent as on Kiss and Tell, there's a lot of airy layering interspersed throughout the hard-hitting beats that echoes the very essence of cloud rap. He's had a huge year in 2025, following up the already great initial sound he found on Safe Travels with the release of Trompe LOL. He's received cosigns from Nett, Destroy Lonely, and has been credited with having some of the best production in the underground. What makes him special though is that he blends elements of cloud rap into his music without fully leaning into it, leading to a much more modern and fresh sound. Songs like Goodbye, Come Again, Born to Be Great, and Die Like This are perfect examples of the transformation that he was able to apply to his music by using cloud rap as a starting point. Though he takes a more aggressive approach to the music, featuring a fast and focused vocal delivery, his production feels much more atmospheric and melodic, perfectly showcasing the balance he was able to achieve through his new creative approach. It's apparent how much the production matters, as it can be what takes an artist from one level to the next. In the modern cloud rap scene, it's important that the production is both unique and energetic, as layering, construction, and feel are arguably the staple elements of cloud rap itself. Someone like Evilgiane is a fantastic example of someone carrying the torch handed down from larger cloud rap producers. His use of heavier bass, faster hi-hats, snares, and drums coupled with the artists he chooses to work with feel like he's personally curating the next generation of rappers, managing to infuse his own elements of cloud rap in at the same time. In an interview with Atlantic Press, they credit him, saying, "Gian's strung out 808s and bouncy synths became a staple within the web of fast-moving rage rap, producing tracks like Beach Leak for Nett, one of his most well-known tracks to date so far, and 40, a collab track with Nett and Xaviersobased. He's been constantly proving himself as one of the best new producers in the game. His style of production, especially when working with those like Nett, feels like an oasis in the desert in the sense that his cool and relaxed production is very different when juxtaposed against the vocals of songs like Shut Up and Tommy. He almost acts like a father figure among those rising to fame in the underground and has even stated that, "I feel like I watched both of them grow into artists, just being hip to their music before they were really known, and seeing how they grow and how they work. It's super inspiring, because they're putting a new take on what's been happening. They're the new pop stars right now." Another producer popping off right now is Mag. Working with people like Nett and Fakemink, he can be characterized with his ambient soundscapes and melodic production that is perfect for the artists he chooses to work with. Standout tracks produced by him like Truffle and Blow Me feel like nostalgic callbacks to both previous eras of cloud rap and also the early 2000s Y2K music scene as a whole, utilizing many different soundscapes like synthesizers and digital instruments like Roland drum machines. One common theme occurring among the UK right now, and especially existing within a lot of Mag's production, is that a lot of the songs feel as if they could exist at a standstill between the past and present, frozen in time. He's managed to achieve a duality in his production. While half of the songs he produces sound like they could be played in a mall in 2006, the other half of them feel like they belong in a mosh pit. That's what Mag excels in, and it's incredibly exciting to hear how he's altering the sound to fit modern soundscapes. It's also interesting to see how UK artists are approaching the revival compared to US artists. As a whole, it feels like artists based in the UK are approaching music with a more conscious mindset, where the production really reflects that with less loud, angry, and enraged energy towards their music. On the other hand, US artists opt to build songs that feel like they're optimized for crowds, and are creating anthems they know their fans will latch onto. It's incredible how a genre can be divided into two distinct parts that feel equally exciting and interesting on both sides. Fakemink's work feels as if he took the rhythm of UK genres like drum and bass and jungle and completely transformed them into something alien. His unique identity and distorted production makes for yet another great transformation of the genre. What he really seems to excel in is taking that hazy background synth that was so prevalent in previous cloud rap and bringing it to the forefront, whether it's highlighted with the vocal chop in Not Today, or the sampling in Royal, or the light and lifting production on Sniffany. It's clear just how much inspiration he's drawn from Rocky and other cloud rap legends. It's arguable that Fakemink could be credited with being one of the most pure cloud rap artists out right now in the underground. While others blend many different elements that they already work within their own music with cloud rap, Fakemink seems to do it in a more minimal extent. Alongside his own production and producers like Mag, he's been carefully curating his catalog and really leaning into the cloud rap influence, and was just brought out by Drake at Wireless Festival last month as of the time this video is being made. That's a huge achievement for someone of his size. He's even been working with previously established cloud rap artists like Echo 2K on his newest song Maka, which spawned a lot of buzz around it. The production on it seems like another great step in his evolution. Collaborations like this have been great for bringing underground talent to light, especially for the artists who are doing their own thing and aren't just clones of each other. The reason that an artist like Feng's sound is different from others is because he's intentionally trying to disconnect from the American sound that we're so used to right now. He states in an interview, "We basically said, fuck it, let's just do our own thing." So now it's more authentic and British. His music is very akin to the likes of Kray and Spaceghostpurpp, much in part due to the fact that his main producer, Boxy, draws heavy inspiration from them. He even states that, "I like vocal chops, 808s, and really simple, hard-hitting drums. These elements are all key players in cloud rap." He's clearly aware of it and takes heavy inspiration from Rocky. If we're talking rap, I would say old Kid Cudi and A$AP Rocky. That's my shit. Just like Fakemink, Feng is able to encapsulate and transform that rage that is so hot among the underground right now and effortlessly blend it into the simple lo-fi production of cloud rap, thanks to his love for production and creative vision. Many of the sounds he tampers with on his newest project, What the Feng, sound loud, but not too loud, finding a great balance between that really deafening sound we're used to hearing in the American underground, especially if you put it up against artists like Che or Osama-san. Feng's producer, Boxy, who executively produced What the Feng, is a fantastic modern age cloud rap producer. The cloud rap influence is clearly evident on Who Do You Wanna Be, an entirely cloud rap inspired song. It's no wonder why it's one of the most popular tracks on the album. There's a demand for it. It's not only on just this track that Boxy manages to infuse classic cloud rap elements in. Take a look at Mum, I'm an Artist, with its bouncy, lighthearted instrumental and heavy-hitting drums that reverberate the essence of cloud rap. Another example is Memories, with an incredible vocal chop sample melded into the production. Xaviersobased's work, on the other hand, falls more so on the jerk and rage side of hip-hop. Collaborating with people like Osama-san and Nett, he manages to infuse the chaotic, anarchic elements of the bustling underground scene into the dreamy, lush soundscape that is cloud rap. His most recent EP, Once More, leans more heavily into the cloud rap sound, with a less aggressive forward approach. Instead, he opted to create a more modernized version of it, with more usual trap elements interspersed within. Even Osama-san's performance on the project is so much more laid back than what we're used to seeing from him, considering sometimes it's hard to even transcribe what he's saying in his own songs. Songs like Worth It echo that cloud rap inspiration that he is trying to cultivate, combined with his signature lazy flow sound and laid back style that he's been working on over the past couple years. He's created an incredibly unique sound for himself. We also get to see a crossover between the UK and USA with tracks like Pediatrician. Produced by Mag, it feels much cooler than some of Xavier's other work with glimmering synths and drowned out bass. A collaborator of Fakemink, EsDeeKid is another UK native who is putting his own spin on the genre. Though his music takes a more trap-centered approach and is more boisterous than that of Fakemink's, it's still clear that he's taking influence from cloud rap. His producer, Rate9, should also be talked about. Putting an emphasis on hard-hitting beats and spacey synths, he evidently has taken inspiration from the cloud rap scene. Songs like Mist and Rottweiler on his newest project Rebel are proof of this. We mentioned him briefly earlier, but a name like Nett is often synonymous with an over-the-top image with music that matches that. When more closely examined, however, it starts to become evident how he as well is bringing elements of cloud rap into his own style. Working alongside the likes of Mag, it's really remarkable how the songs that he's on with him manage to take it down a notch and approach the music much more like how pioneers in the cloud rap genre have done prior. Songs like Shine in Peace and Come in Pairs showcase that more mellow side of him that we don't often see as much, given his style. Just like Xavier and Fakemink, we see how someone like Mag's production can completely transform someone's sound. It's apparent that cloud rap is making its way back into the forefront of the ever-changing rap scene, spanning all the way back to the Black Kray era of music, and through Rocky's mainstream appeal and the genre's supposed death, cloud rap has had a rocky life throughout its course, pervading the hip-hop scene. It might not be moving as fast as others, but with the influence of underground pioneers, it's steadily and continually spreading its influence, and is making its way back into the rap scene as we know it today.